Zero RB, the most controversial and maybe toxic phrase in all of best ball. We're drafting today. That's what we do on Fridays. And I figured I'm feeling old and feeling like I'm in a giving mood this week. So we're going to give back to the community as I draft. And I tell you that I'm going to draft a zero RB team. And I draft it. So all the EV for you, even more than drafting with idiot streamers, drafting with an idiot streamer who's telling you what he's doing before he does it. Let's get into it. Yes, Silas. Pivoting to Underdog today. Fridays are often going to be drafts, and Mondays with Silas and myself. Monday nights will often be Underdog, but I'll be totally honest with you. I'm being selfish. If I'm gonna tell you guys my strategy before I draft here, I'm at least gonna do it on the platform that I think is most beneficial for zero RB. And I don't want between drafters and Underdog. Underdog is certainly a more zero RB friendly tournament format. So fuck it. I'm doing the draft on Underdog. Maybe we'll mix in a special draft stream next week on drafters to make up for it. No, Dan, I did not just get off the golf course. I did just get back from walking my dogs. Literally. I ran in. That's why I was about a minute late. I sprinted in from the heat and humidity of walking the dogs to get here. And one of my dogs made it extra difficult because he's terrified of everything, like any loud noise. And so in our subdivision, there's tons of construction going on, like new houses going up. And so every one of the big trucks that come in and make the beeping noises and make just the loud noises, we can't even like walk in their general direction because he's afraid of them. And then today, as we're turning the corner to come back into the street that our house is on, the school bus bringing all little kids back home goes by us and like hits the brakes, and the brakes are all loud, and he jumps and freaks out. And then he's like, he's got to avoid the school bus, and he's kind of like dragging me all over the place. So if I'm a little sweaty, it's hot out. Plus my dog gave me a little extra workout because he's scared. He's scared of the school bus. Tiring him out. That's typically what I do. What I do a lot of the time is try to tire out these psychopaths before the stream starts. Let's go ahead and get in here. It's Friday. We don't need to fuck around and putz around and wait to hop in the draft. Let's just get on in. Looks like only one more. Handful. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday. This is what I'm here for too, Paul. Maybe I'm here to get my first Zeke share. My first Zeke share as a zero RB target. Maybe we can get him to fall to, where he should go in drafts, like the 7th round or something. I can assure you I'm not going to weigh in on the quarterback bye-week madness. I did talk about it a little bit last year. I think that I was getting notifications of stuff from likes and stuff from a Twitter thread of last year where we talked about it. And I guess now I am gonna weigh in on it. I just said I wasn't gonna weigh in on it, but ultimately I think sorry, Lundar says just started watching and the first thing I hear is it's Friday, no need to F around. Yeah, man. It's by the time Friday gets here, it's been a long week, and we're here to draft. We're not here to, putz around. That's what the rest of the week is for. We're just trying to get through the work week, and then Fridays are, let's have some fun. Everybody's probably ready. The weather's nice in most places, except Colorado. Apparently, if you play DFS, it's like 85 and hot and like humid as shit here. But out there, they're having games canceled for snow. So this makes it a nice, easy start for me. I am taking Jefferson over Chase. I don't feel like we need to have. We've had that probably discussion a few times already this offseason. I don't really feel like we need to have it. I think it's splitting hairs on who you prefer. I think I prefer Jefferson to Chase, and that's pretty much that. I've had him ranked that. I'm pretty certain I've had him ranked that way all along since the pre-draft contest. But pretty excited for Jefferson actually. And I've been drafting quite a bit on DraftKings, where I also am very heavy zero RB and hero RB. Definitely my predominant structures over there. And Jefferson, there's more spots that you can get Jefferson on DraftKings because sometimes he'll be there at the 7th or 8th pick, right? And so you're just able to get, as long as you're taking him over the Derrick Henrys and Austin Ecklers of the world, which I am, I'm able to get a lot of Jefferson, and particularly on the PPR sites. I mean, he just feels like such an absolute smash. Like the floor is basically what he's done these last 2 years, which is elite wide receiver production. And the ceiling is the new coaching staff comes in and actually turns this into a modern NFL offense with him as the feature, player. I think if we were to, bet on someone matching Cooper Kupp, he's more of the bet to me than Jamar Chase. But Jamar Chase has the greatest wide receiver prospect of all time. A little bit of hyperbole, but one of the greatest wide receiver prospects of all time in an elite offense with a great quarterback and a great coach, and all these things that give him this upside, particularly on Underdog in a weekly, when a week to week, we just saw what he did in 1 week in the championship last year. I'm not sure how many people even have that in their bag. Him, maybe Jefferson, Kupp, Tyreek used to. I don't know that Tyreek has that anymore. Devontae used to, I guess Gabe did it. Gabe has it in his bag somewhere. Exactly, David. Coaching upgrade. Sorry, my allergies are also going absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Good Lord, guys. This is hilarious. Let me think about this. I have been taking AJ Brown over T. Higgins, and I don't actually have as much T. Higgins as I want. So I'm going to take him. I think I have AJ Brown ranked over T, but they're very close. Maybe even right next to each other. I should probably pull that up while I'm drafting, huh? But I think, and it's a very similar situation that AJ Brown is a superstar, and I don't have anything negative to say about AJ Brown other than he has Jalen Hurts, and I know that there's a lot of talk about them, throwing more, and I get it, and I think it makes sense, but the Bengals already do that, and T. Higgins was basically outperforming Jamar Chase for a lot of last year, or at least performing at the same level, and so I do like him quite a bit too. So it's one of those situations where I know where my exposures lie and all of that, and I'm just kind of balancing that out there. Yeah, I agree with this too. When you get if you have a decision between Jefferson and Chase, then you take T. It's like, look, I'm still getting my access to that Bengals thing, and then I'm getting the right. It's if T just so happens to outperform Chase, if Chase gets hurt, whatever. Now I have the total perfect combo there. And look at that. I get AJ Brown anyway. Or do I want Kyle Pitts? Let me think about this. You know, I'm actually going to take Kyle Pitts. And here's something. I'm also trying to. I also don't have as much Kyle Pitts as I want. And I posted yesterday and just had to make an update to and re-shared on Twitter my probably first of multiple like week 17 article, mainly focused around game stacks and my priority game stacks. And one thing that I'll also get to this offseason plenty more is I'm personally taking stands on some of the week 17 games that maybe I know everybody's talking about week 17, but I want to make sure that my portfolio, particularly in BBM and like say the DraftKings $5 milli, where week 17 has such a big tournament, right? Relative to what we've had the last few years. I mean, there's almost 1,000 people in the $5 DraftKings week 17. So, the chances that, I win are so minuscule that I want to give myself as many shots on goal in the few situations I think are the most advantageous. One of them is the game that Kyle Pitts is in. Arizona and Atlanta. That's one of my favorite game stacks. It kind of all falls together well from an ADP perspective. And then it's, whether it's Pitts from the Atlanta side, Drake London, I like CPAT quite a bit. If you really want to toss on, a Brian Edwards as a late wide receiver, obviously there's Tyler Algier, even like 18th round Damian Williams. And then you have Kyler, Hollywood, a falling Nuke, who I know he's going to miss 6 weeks, but I want to have a little bit of Nuke in my portfolio. James Conner, Rondale, Zach Ertz, Trey McBride. So there's a lot. Keontae Eno. So there's a lot of guys that you can kind of all mix and match there. But I talked about that, like I said, in the week 17 article, where I really think the Cardinals defense we should project it to be really bad. And so we should project their offense to be really good. Especially once DeAndre Hopkins gets back, when now you have Hopkins and Hollywood on the outside with Ertz / McBride / Rondale, James Conner, and obviously Kyler with his mobility. And I really, really do think the Cardinals defense, like if you just go look at the defensive roster, go look at the depth chart. It's bad. It's really bad. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that. Let's see here. Obviously the Hollywood goes because we're in a 0 RB draft and I'm talking about him. I think I'm dying. I'm allergic to 0 RB. That's what's happening here. I'm gonna have to put on the RB bro hat. My allergies are acting up because I'm drafting too many wide receivers. I'm gonna take Jerry Jeudy though. Other game in my week 17 article. That is the game that Jerry Jeudy is in, that I think is actually like, I almost want to have pieces from that game on every single team that I draft. It's maybe seem like overkill, but I'm not certain that it is. It is so easy, other than late round Chiefs that don't really exist. But even then, there's like, if you really want to take a shot on like Justin Ross, or maybe they bring back Darrell Williams, even then, and that there's obviously KJ Hamler back there. I even think you can take, if you want a tight end, Greg Dulcich, the rookie out of UCLA from the Broncos side. there's just a lot of pieces to love in that game, and I think that's actually the highest upside game stack of week 17. And so definitely going to make sure, I don't know that I love the Judy price or the new Sutton price, but it's like the price doesn't matter. If a guy should be a 6th round pick and he's a 5th round pick, but like you want to have him in your portfolio, like it really doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I'm smashing all the Trey Lance. I'm taking Debo. I'm taking Ayuk. I don't have a ton of Kittle yet, but I'm making sure, that I get my fair shares of Kittle. So, and then here, I obviously don't have my quarterback yet. I'm going to pair up Gabe with T. And you'll see again in that article I wrote that I think that game stack is a little overrated. It's the one that, at least, my little bubble, it seemed that's what everybody was really hyper focused on that game when the schedule got released. But I think there's a lot more, it's outside in the cold in Cincy, at the beginning of January. The Bills defense is really good. The Bills defense was number 1 in DVOA last year. They seem like appealing games the Bills play because the Bills offense is so good. And so they are slightly appealing, but it's not really a good matchup for the opponent. And so I love Gabe. I love T. And so I'm still going to create those correlations for myself. But from if you get to pick your 150 teams and how many of all the different game stacks do you want, it is lower on my list than some of these other games. And I just don't think that that's necessarily the market consensus. But I love doing this as a part of, we spent the first 15 minutes of a 0 RB draft, not talking about 0 RB, but I love to do this in these kinds of builds. Start to set up these, right? So now I already have T and Gabe. I've got Judy set up for whatever Chiefs I want to do. I've got Kyle Pitts set up if I want, Rondale or one of the backup Cardinals running backs. Zach Ertz, Hopkins, maybe Hopkins falls really far and I can, take a shot on him because now I have Pitts. And I'm just setting up all these correlations and also setting up my potential stacks, right? I'm very flexible. Do I go Vikings? Do I go Bengals? Do I go Broncos? Obviously not Bills, right? And I don't particularly love Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder, but it's there for me now. And I think that's something from within 0 RB teams that people don't like. It's not that they're not doing it, but it's not at the forefront of your mind. Setting up my correlations as well as keeping my flexibility, and the combination of having that flexibility and having the correlations already set up or planned out and you're ready to pounce, right? Once I took Jerry Jeudy, it's okay, I'm not adding these guys to the queue now. But if I were drafting not on a stream, if I were drafting by myself, okay, let's put Rojo and MVS and CEH and Sky and Juju, whatever, in the queue after I took that, right? Justin Jefferson. I don't actually really want a lot of Kirk Cousins, but if you do, you put him in there. A guy who actually fits 0 RB builds with Justin Jefferson really well is AJ Dillon. Or maybe you need a tight end. You have Robert Tonyan. And you just start, and it becomes second nature. And I think the 0 RB is the easiest way to build out these. It's actually probably a low key hidden perk of the structure is it's easier to do this, to build this out, as opposed to you start your robust running back team and then you're just trying to stockpile wide receivers and your correlations end up you're having to backdoor them, right? With Marvin Jones and Nico Collins, which is that's fine. I actually prefer Zay. I probably have quite a bit of Zay, Nico, secondary correlations, but the real, the power, right? the true upside comes in kind of some of these other archetypes of players. But you do still want to use those correlations right on the contingent bets, like Rashad Penny was last year, and the young guys like Amon-Ra was last year. So it's not just building it from the front to the back with your correlations, but a little bit of both. Here's another one I really like. I should have had the board up. I really like the Jets in the playoffs as well, but I do have to. I mean, I called it out, and it's a perfect fit on this team. I also think A.J. Dillon is an awesome zero running back target. We saw the upside. It's like a more expensive James Conner last year, right? We saw he can be valuable as a standalone player. He's probably gonna have more carries for sure than Aaron Jones, and he's probably the goal line back because he's built like goddamn Thanos. And so he has the standalone value. I'm a little weary of the Packers offense, but I've made my bet here with Jefferson. And so I'm going to get those, floor of points from him. And the ceiling is he's a top 5 running back if something happens to Aaron Jones, which, shocker, every year something happens to Aaron Jones because he's 200 pounds. 100%, David says, and we know Aaron Jones isn't big enough to be a bell cow. Dan says been getting quite a bit of Elijah and or Garrett Wilson. I love both of the Jets wide receivers. They play the Seahawks in week 17, and I think that's a low-key, sneaky good game. I almost included that in my article, but I didn't want to list every fucking game of the week 17 schedule. You did have to make some did have to cut off somewhere. But Elijah and Garrett Wilson are both, they're the interesting kind of guy that like doesn't. Now the question is Elijah, or what I really am going to do here is Russ. And now, like I said, so now we have the Russ, Judy, Dylan, Jefferson, and T and Gabe. So like we're through 7 picks. And I've got my Broncos set up. Obviously, I need to figure out a chief. And then I'm attacking my Falcon, attacking what I perceive to be a nice edge in the Arizona defense. I'm still trying to, when it comes to Nuke, I'm going to keep trying. David asked to take Hopkins to pair with Pitts, and it's in the it was in play, I guess I would say, but I'm really trying to, on these guys, like he's out for 6 weeks, right? I'm probably not going to have a ton of wide receivers on this team, maybe 8. And I'm trying to like really kick the can down the road on Nuke, and like I'm going to play chicken with everybody else in the room. Like, see, Silas takes him. And I'm trying to see how far I can really push it. And like, maybe I get it into a little pocket of the draft where I'm like, it's Hopkins or I'm trying to see what a good area of the draft. Honestly, coming, you get to like the Damian Harris range and Olave and stuff like that. I think having like taking that shot in that range is just a little bit more comfortable for me. Like we might have already got there even. I still like a couple other guys that are on the board here, but like Miles Sanders, who would have been sweet if he somehow came back to me. But alas. Yep, and there's still Rondale. Oh, so Silas has Kyler. Got it. And I totally agree. Russ is absolutely a tier break for me, a big one. And I'm very, very high on Russ. Paul says, since you already have multiple week 17 correlations, will you start to look at week 16 correlations? Yes and no. It's like a tiebreaker. But for me, I'm really still mostly just entirely focused on week 17. I understand, like I've listened to other people like talk about week 16 or talk about the overall playoffs, but I started to think about it a little bit more after the schedule came out, and just again with BBM and there being 470 people in the final, and on DraftKings there being almost 1,000 people in the final. Everything is about that week. I know you're like, oh, I can get to the final by taking advantage of week 16. That is true, but everything is about that final. And I know you specifically asked, like, since I already have the week 17 correlations built in there, but like there's still 10 more picks that I can build in more, right? Whether it be add on to like the Broncos Chiefs, add on to the Bengals Bills, or now I set up other secondary correlations, right? Or another stack. I still need another quarterback and another stack. So it's like, okay, now maybe my next one is Lawrence, a Lawrence team. And now I build in my Lawrence, Jags, Texans bring back on the other side, And so it just, I haven't found a point yet where focusing on putting the week 16 correlations in there, is like the deciding factor. Oops. Don't want to go on autopilot. Oh, look at that. You guys are going to hand me CEH in a 0 RB build where I need a chief. I'm taking CEH. Did you guys see that? I'm really happy that I ended up getting CEH here. Did you guys see the report about him today? Let me find this. Let me find this. Here we go. Share this other screen. I really am dying, guys. I'm alert. So, old, but I missed this. CH on 2021. I had gallbladder surgery. My gallbladder completely stopped working, and I was down to 160 pounds. I didn't run, didn't do anything up until OTAs, and I was still dealing with everything over the course of the summer. How is that? How can that be possible? how, like, not like how did his gallbladder stop working, but like how did no one find out about this? Like, we know like what these dudes eat for lunch, and we don't know that CH had gallbladder surgery and he lost like 50 pounds. How can that be? And so, maybe it's not true, but I mean, it's from the horse's mouth. So, and look at this poster boy of 0 running back and thumbnail image, Tony Pollard. I love this team, by the way. And so now there's not a lot from the Titans on the other side, but that's one that I'll keep in the back of my mind. The one I don't know about you guys. The one that often ends up as like if I take Pollard or if you're taking Zeke or CD or whatever is Austin Hooper. And like he fits this team. Like Kyle Pitts is my anchor tight end. I'm only taking 2 tight ends on a Kyle Pitts team, and so the second one's probably going to be later, and I just get that extra little smidge of correlation for you get Zeke out for week 17 and Pollard's in there as the workhorse, and Austin Hooper, he's not super sexy because I don't think that like there's a ton of upside, but at that cost, it's like he could catch 2 touchdowns against the Cowboys in week 17. But the CEH thing is wild. And so I'm not trying to like overreact to that one thing. I've been drafting him a little bit. I still think I prefer Rojo at cost, but I think it's one of those things where it's important not to overreact, of course, to the latest news. because that we're going to get this shit over the entire course of the offseason. But this one feels more like, okay, why was this dude a bust? He actually came out of the gates as a rookie, hotter than fire, right? Just couldn't punch in the goal line touchdowns, loses that part of the job, gets hurt. Okay, he's a disappointment. And then last year, we're like, what the fuck? He was a 2-3 turn pick. We expected big things out of him from a fantasy perspective. And he just constantly kept getting, cucked by all these other guys. and it was like, okay, he just sucks, right? That's been the takeaway. He just sucks. And I mean, he really might just suck. But he's a perfect fit with Patrick Mahomes as a receiver. And if if all they do is add Rojo doesn't play in the passing game. And what has Rojo ever done to earn snaps? I mean, he's a better runner, but why does that matter? If you're running, you're not using Patrick Mahomes. So I'm fairly in on CEH here, and I think again on this team he makes sense on this team. He doesn't make sense on every team, but he absolutely makes sense on this team. Is this actually going to all fall together? Like, this is crazy. Yep. Now I take Rondale as my Arizona guy. And now we've already got Russ to Judy with the CEH bring back. We got Kyle Pitts with the Rondale bring back. We got Gabe and T. Higgins, and we got Justin Jefferson and A.J. Dillon. Literally, the first 10 picks could not have possibly went more perfect for every correlation. These are all like guys I'm higher on, like are ranked higher than their ADPs are. They fit the structure, right? Dillon, CEH, Pollard fit the structure. Pitts and an elite quarterback in Russ allow me the flexibility of just drafting only 2 at those positions. This is goddamn beautiful. What a good start to the weekend. What a good start to the weekend. This one will be interesting though. I like Jameson. I'm going to add a few guys to the queue actually. I like Jameson. I like Galladay. I'm not going to take Rojo because I took CEH. I know there's a lot of conversation around that subject. Obviously, Tim Patrick makes sense. Excuse me. Fields as a QB2 makes sense, but I'm not going to take Fields just yet. I like some of these other guys. Let me think about this here. Who makes the most sense on this team? It's either, I think it's McCole. Pretty sure it's McCole. I'm in on that. And so now I will, I'm done with Chiefs. I would like to get one more Bronco, but even then, if I don't have one, if it's just Russ to Judy, I think that's totally fine. But Patrick and Hamler will be on my mind as we go here. I don't know that Patrick's going to get back to me, but that's a thing that I'm constantly talking here about all this week 17 correlation stuff because I am really, really, really hyper focused on it this year, even more so than last year. But I also believe we need to do these types of things to correlate in week 17, but we need to not overdo it. I actually believe the combination of the fact that the finals are so much bigger now, you only have 18 roster spots. You need to capitalize on the it's not just going to be that one game wins you everything. And so if you have 7 of your dudes from that game, or 5 or 6 of your dudes from one team, it's going to be tough to advance through to get there with just that. Even then, you get there, you do need to find Rashad Penny and Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Even if you stacked Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and I mean Tyreek didn't do shit, but let's say you had Kelsey and he was fine, he scored 10 points, and you got Darrell Williams, and you had Burrow and Chase and Higgins or something. That's great. But you still, even with like those smashes, you still needed to find the other guys in the other games. And JXP in the Discord, shout out to JXP, it has mentioned it, and it just keeps coming up in my mind on some of these subjects. But like, this is a perfect example of like humility-based drafting. Why do we need to not over, like, people are like, well, why can't I just take that many guys from I mean, like, you can, but like, you're not drafting humbly. You're like, I'm going to get that game right and that team right, and then I only got 3 other picks, and I'm going to find Penny and Amon-Ra on those guys. I'm going to find Sony Michel in that other pick. When what I'm doing here with skinnier stacks and a bunch of different correlations, it allows me outs to find the right pairings, right? They're not all going to hit. Even on the winning team, or even on the team that Peter and I drafted, we had Raheem Mostert. He played a quarter of the whole season. We missed quicker than any player. People at least probably still hoped for Trey Sermon at that point. We knew it was over for Raheem Mostert. All right. Let me think about this now. So I'm totally wide open of what I can do here. Oof. Quarterback is bad. Michael Carter is decent. But I am going to take DJ Chark. That's another game that I really like. Really like. Lions, Bears. I know that is maybe something that a lot of people are not super interested in, but that's one of my favorite games to go after. Really, shout out Anthony Amico posted yesterday in a reply to one of my tweets, like hashtag our Lions, and that's how I feel. Last year was hashtag our Niners, and that was a goddamn disaster. Thanks, Shanny. But this year it's our Lions. I love the team that they built outside of the quarterback position. And the defense still stinks. The defense still stinks. And the Bears defense, I think, is going to stink. And they're all free because everybody's out on the Bears. And we saw what the Seahawks stunk last year too. And Fields was not quite as bad. Certainly not from a fantasy perspective last year down the stretch, as I think people think. Great question. Philip asks, how popular do you think building this type of roster will become during the summer? I would say from a normal person, not very popular. I think most of the people in your draft rooms are not going to be constructing their teams in this way. I do think the sharper people will definitely be drafting this way. Okay. Quarterback is still awful. I am going to take Michael Carter here, I think. I don't totally love him, but I like this. I like the Seahawks matchup, like I mentioned. Just getting a little bit of, it's a 0 RB team. I'm going to take 6 of these guys. He's in a timeshare with a Brees, but I'm a little bit bullish on the Jets. And I don't know that I'll be able to, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm preaching all this correlation stuff. Not every single player on the team has to be correlated with somebody else. It's just when you're keeping it in your mind, it's easy to then set yourself up for these things, right? When it's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. I did my first 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 picks, got them correlated. Well, now you've got so many correlations already built in that you can add on to them. You can add new ones. If you don't add them after that, it's like, I'm already got 5 different games stacked here. So we're in good shape. I think Phil, you can correct me. I think you're talking about the week 17 correlation stuff. Dave says exactly. Multiple small correlations probably better EV than a single game onslaught. Yep, that's my opinion. Maybe in past years, I think you might have been able to make a little bit of a case, like a 60-man final or whatever, or even last year 100 and whatever. You might be able to make the case where it's like, I just want that one game to blow up, and then hope I hit Penny and Amon Ra, and I got a chance at $1 million. But this year, that's not enough. People like, oh, this is like a small field DFS tournament. Yeah, relative to DFS tournaments. But in a DFS tournament, I get to make 150 lineups for that tournament. In this one, I only am getting, the best player in the world might get 2 into this if they're lucky, right? I mean, it's the top 0.1%, right? Or 0.01%. I'm forgetting the exact math now, but it's such a small number that are getting there that I'm much, much, much more on the skinny stack side of things. Dan says, so what you're saying is do the reverse barbell to get away from the sharps and dump all my entries in July. I think that's a fair way to think about things or look at things. I don't have much else to add. I think that's probably one of those that like conceptually sounds really good, but actually really isn't changing your EV at all. I'm still going to be doing draft streams. I'm still like not everybody subscribes to Barbell. And even people that say they subscribe to Barbell still probably can't help themselves if they're really like big into best ball. So, and like by that point, the ADP, the sharps have already like, God damn it, I keep clicking that. Ooh, let's start clicking some of these names here. I am going to take Kenny Gainwell over Nyheim Hines. I'm very big on Gainwell this year as well. Tony says, I'll be drafting every day. Yeah, we know. But what I was going to say was by the July thing, it's like, yeah, okay, so maybe some of the best guys have already, like some of the people in here, some of the people in the chat right now, like have already done their whatever 75 or something like that, and they are maybe trying to take a break from, say, Underdog. Maybe they'll go elsewhere for their action during that time. But they've already, if the sharps have done half of their drafts by July, they've in turn made the ADP efficient, relatively speaking. Because if all the sharps have done half of their drafts, so many of the drafts are sharp, and so that turns the ADP into a much more efficient market. And so, it kind of goes, I really am going to need to get a quarterback here at some point, huh? Oh, okay. Let me see here. 172. Shit. I see. I should have taken Hines. I should have taken Hines at that. I should have paid attention and not been just, and there goes Hines. Damn it. So I'm going to take Daniel Jones here. Jones is another guy that I definitely have ranked a lot higher. He does have some backdoor stack options, but what I should have done if I'm doing this week 17 correlation thing, I should have paid attention to like, okay, I need another quarterback here. And if I'm going to take Daniel Jones, really the Colts backdoor stack option is Nyheim Hines. And he's kind of a fun partner actually with the Giants. Obviously the Colts and the Giants playing week 17. So I should have done that. But yeah, definitely could have done the Mariota stack with Pitts. Not it's just not my favorite thing. I get it though. I don't have any like crazy strong takes. I just prefer, like, if I'm 15th round pick, Daniel Jones, like, I actually truly believe in the ceiling there, as opposed to Mariota, where the problem with Mariota is there's not a lot of scenarios, I think, where the Falcons like are good, which in turn makes him a lot more likely to get benched for Ritter. Now, if he plays well, I know, like, oh, why are you worried about that where he gets benched? Don't you tell other people not to worry about that with Trey Lance? Like, yeah, but so, he doesn't have that kind of ceiling. He's not Trey Lance. Daniel Jones has more upside, in my opinion. And I like a couple of these, mainly one in particular, late round stacking partner. So let me think about this now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs. I need a tight end. I'm probably going to hit one more running back and one more wide receiver, which means okay. I think we're in fine shape here. Won't have a bring back for the Daniel Jones stack based on how this is going, but that's okay. If the Daniel Jones stack, that's another thing. It's like you want to maximize all this stuff, but like, if the Daniel Jones to 17th round wide receiver is outproducing my Russ, you son of a... Well, I was going to get Wandale. Now I'm going to have naked... I'm not taking Sterling Shepard. I'm just going to take naked Daniel Jones and just go more in on the Broncos game. Yeah, as I think I misclicked here while I was triggered. Yeah, I do like Daniel Bellinger, and I can do that, or I can do we'll see what comes around here with Hooper. Is I guess what I should do. Hold on. If I wanted to truly hit all the correlations, I would do Bellinger as the stack with Daniel Jones and take Hassan Haskins as my last running back. I think. I'm pretty sure that's what I would do. I think that's the way to optimize the correlation for this team. I think I still prefer Hooper, Hooper, which gives me correlation with Pollard, and just another running back, 18th round running back. So I'll think about that one over these next few seconds while these last 3 picks are going before me. Silas says Breida. One thing I've done, but I'm really trying not to do, honestly, is include my running back with my stacks. I think they're correlated in the median, on average, right? Offense scores more points. That's good, right? So when an offense scores more points, everybody's scoring more fantasy points. So that correlation, they're correlated together from that perspective. But from a ceiling outcome perspective, right? If Matt Breida runs for a touchdown, Daniel Jones is not scoring a touchdown, and the wide receivers are not scoring a touchdown. And yes, he can technically throw him a touchdown, but running backs typically have more success in games where their quarterback does not have a true ceiling game. Let me think about this. I need to add these guys to the queue before I forget. Okay. Julio is there. That's so funny. I'm going to take Hooper. I just think the projection edge from Hooper and whoever I take at running back here is much better. I've already got so much correlation. I don't think a naked Daniel Jones is hurting me. If Daniel Bellinger is smashing over Kyle Pitts, I know, that's not necessarily the way I should probably think about it. But the same thing, if Daniel Jones and Daniel Bellinger are outscoring Russ and Kyle Pitts in that game, probably not super likely that I'm winning $2 million. But what if, this is a great question. What if Bellinger is the guy you need in week 17? What if Bellinger pulls a Jamar Chase and drops 50 fantasy points? Imagine not drafting Daniel Bellinger when he was the guy you needed to have in week 17, like Alvin Kamara and Jamar Chase. Yeah, on certain offenses with certain archetypes of players, I agree. But I would say, again, I'm making a blanket rule, and everything is actually more applicable in the micro, like you said, on certain offenses with certain archetypes of players. But like if I'm saying, if you're asking me totally binary, black or white answer, would you prefer, like, are you stacking your quarterback with your running back or are you not? My answer is I am not. Obviously, there's nuance to that, like I said, in the micro, but that's my personal preference. Oh, this is interesting. This is an interesting question. Terrence asks, what about the teams that are tanking for a quarterback, of which there are multiple? Do you avoid week 17 game selection? I haven't really thought about it that way, but that's a very interesting point. My first gut answer is no, I'm not avoiding them. In fact, like the Texans, I am drafting, like, say, the Texans, the Lions. And I don't think that their tanking means that the games can't be fantasy viable. I think that every team shows up and they're going to try to win. Maybe outside of of the Texans, but we'll see. And Neil says, thank God I tuned in for the Bellinger takes. What if, Neil, hear me out, what if Daniel Bellinger is the guy you need in week 17 to win $2 million? Okay, back. So now we polished this team up with a running back. I probably should have taken a little bit more look here. Ooh, I love me some D'Ernest. Thinking. D'Ernest, Breida, Damian, if I wanted to go more in on that game. But I'm going to take D'Ernest. He's just one of these rare guys here at the back end that have the, workhorse ceiling. And I think that that's really important. I'm actually focusing fairly heavily on that thing, is like, no matter what happens, I mean, I guess if CPAT and Algier and whatever got hurt, now I would have Damian Williams as a workhorse on an average offense. But like some of these guys, it's not in the range of outcomes. Like Sony on the Dolphins now, it is not in the range of outcomes to be a workhorse anymore. So I don't want him. Chuba is the freaking third. I don't even know why people draft Chuba. He's the third string running back on the Panthers. Trey Sermon, damn it. Trey Sermon also anyway, here you see we can run down the team. If you've got any, we got a few minutes. If you have a team that you were in this draft and you want us to look at, just to close out the playoff thing, David says, and I typically agree with this. It's just really hard to understand like the impacts of the tanking teams. And as you said, the Lions were basically tanking, and so were the Texans. And Davis Mills had his best games down the stretch when they were tanking. And obviously Amon-Ra did too. Good looking out, Neil. Good looking out. All right, draft board. So for the audio listeners, I picked that. So before we review this, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? I said before we started, it's on the damn thumbnail, that I'm drafting a 0 RB team. I said, we're going on Underdog. I'm drafting a 0 RB team. And we got through 10 rounds, and I think it was like one of the more perfect teams I've drafted. Every correlation worked out. I loved every individual player that I selected. I have the stack of my favorite game in week 17. I have the young players. I have the running backs that fit in 0 RB builds with AJ Dillon and CEH and Tony Pollard, even Michael Carter, Kenny Gainwell, and then D'Ernest. You guys let me have everything that I wanted, and you guys gave me the EV. I was trying to give it away. So anyway, for the audio listeners, so we went Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Jerry Jeudy, Gabriel Davis, AJ Dillon. Then we came in and stacked Russ with Jerry Jeudy, CEH, boom, bring back to that stack Tony Pollard, the 0 RB god, Rondale Moore to pair with Kyle Pitts, McCall Hardman to add on to my game, DJ Chark, because I'm trying to also target that game. I did not end up getting any Bears, but Khalil Herbert is a big priority for me back there. I'm taking some Velus Jones. I like Cole Kmet as the tight end. He didn't fit this team quite as well, but I like that game in general. Michael Carter, same thing. I just like I like investing in the Jets. He fell more than a round past ADP. Kenny Gainwell, I mean, we're excited about that offense. He's a pass catcher. He actually scored a bunch of touchdowns and got used at the goal line last year, and I'm pretty excited about him. Daniel Jones. Then we talked through Wandale got sniped for me, as you see here. Wandale got sniped for me. I was going to take Wandale. He's really only the stacking option. Then we end up talking through freaking Daniel Bellinger for 5 minutes. What a sad life I live. End up pivoting to KJ Hamler, Austin Hooper, and D'Ernest Johnson. Tony, enjoy. Tony has date night. Don't spend all your money on the date. Let me know where you're going. We're always looking for new date spots. We're always looking for new date spots. And yes, Kyle, sun's out, guns out. That is true. I'm a pasty white dude. So we got to get the tanks out when the sun gets here, because otherwise, when we like to go out on the lake, we like to go boating and do that, like to go on vacation, go to the beach and all that kind of stuff. And I'm so pale if I do that. Like if I don't do this, go get some sun for like many times before we venture out into the harsh sun, it will be a disaster for me. A stone cold disaster. So I think that's it, guys. That was fun. Thank you guys for letting me draft one of my best teams on stream. That was awesome. We'll be back Monday. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. If you have not yet, make sure to please go and join the free Discord. That's the main thing I'm going to keep pumping. Go join the free Discord. Go to spikeweek.com. In the header, it says Discord. Click it. There's a button to join. Like I said, 100% free, 24/7, 365 conversation from tons of people much smarter than me, talking best ball, talking strategy, reviewing people's drafts, right? People come in, you do a draft like you just did this draft, pop the team in there if you want to get some feedback. You have questions. Maybe you're on the clock in a slow draft and you're deciding between some players. Bring those in. It's the best place to talk best ball that exists. I'm biased, but it's the best place. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday. Myself and Silas, 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, doing another draft. Maybe you guys won't let us get this good of a team, but we'll see. Have a good weekend. Mercedes is back. For my F1 fans, Mercedes is back. Team Lewis. Peace.